Alright, today we are looking at Sensei again. I'm doing this on my phone, and this is how I normally do it, so I thought this would be easier, and I want to try out this recording software. I actually figured this out playing around with it, so I think I'm going to do this a little more often, because this is how I'm going to use the app. So that last video was just a overview, and here is going to be me looking at Kanji, and as I go through my journey, you'll see me using this quite a bit to learn Kanji. So here, when I go into the Kanji screen to learn, this is what I'm greeted with. Let me move this out so you see it's showing 80 cards here because I'm in the first year elementary. So I'm looking, it's got it divided down: 1 stroke, 2 strokes, 3 strokes. Now down here at the bottom, if you look, my stylus here, it's got the little pointer on the screen. It's kind of hard to see in that blue, but if you slide on there, you can take those out of the deck. Now this is an SRS system, so you want to take your quizzes and review. That's what all of these, if we come up here to the top, that's what these red are, and for some reason I don't know why some of these are red, because I get them right, like 1 and all that. So I'm going to try to organize these with this recording software. So there, we've got the software allowed me to. So we get this sort by coming up, and it's got the strokes and all that. But what I want to do is recognition skill. I'm not too worried about the writing skill because I don't care how well I know it. I write over and over and over. When I'm teaching at school, my kids hate it because they'll say, why are we writing over and over and over? Because it helps get in your brain. Like when I was taking my master's courses, I'd be taking notes, writing stuff down. Wasn't required. That's how I learned. So that's what I'm doing for Japanese, and that's why I love this phone with the stylus. It allows me to, right on the screen, so I can continuous. And then this Kanji, I got 2 books. Let me double check. Yeah, 2 books that I write, and then I got 2 extra notebooks that I'm constantly writing in, and those are specifically for Kanji. They're the gridded style, so I can continuously write. So I write over and over because it's gonna sit here and put it into memory. So you may never use it. You may never have to write it, but there is some truth to that, committing it to memory. So I'm 100% for writing things. So let's go ahead and get into recognition skill so we can hit that and apply. So now you see what's happened when I did that. So it reorganized, so it put my ones that I'm most familiar with at the top. So we're gonna redo that, and it goes back to the review today. So I'm gonna start with this, and now I'm gonna look at that, and I'm gonna say that's 1. Now as you see, we've got an example of a word with that January. So we can play some audio.
1月
And that's not the audio for this, it's the audio for the example word. So I can flip the card over and check if I was right. So it was 1. Now if I want more details, then I'm going to hit that. So once again, if you're looking at getting this app, it's this down here. If you look next to the not the very left. It's this down here. So we're going to hit that. And here it's going to tell us how many strokes it is, the frequency it appears, your JLPT, your JoJo. Um, it's got your Yomi here. So you got your own and your Kun. And I'm not gonna even bother with this, but this is what I like. I really like this, the vocabulary, and you can learn all this, which, as you can see, I haven't even really got started with any of this section of the vocabulary, but it's got all kinds of vocabulary. And if you want, you can add that to a personal list and start learning it, and it'll set it up on that SRS for you within the vocabulary section. So it's really good. So with the learning, now I'm going to write this. Now I'm going to slide the slider over because I want it to guide, and then I hit that just to check accuracy. You don't really have to, but I do it. And of course it's not going to work that time. So yeah, we're going to do that, and if you don't want to, you can do that and check it again. Now here's my method, and it doesn't have to be yours. Depending on how well I know it, it's going to determine how many times I write it. If I'm really familiar with it, it's going to be 1 or 2, usually 1. Like that normally is going to be 1 time, and I move on. If I'm pretty good with it, but not real great, then it's going to be probably 2 or 3. If I'm not good with it, or questioning myself, like, was that a lucky guess, then it's going to be 5. 5 is where I cut it off. I'm going to do 5, move on. So the next one, now this one's obviously, your example here is the answer. It's in. But it's in. So we flip it over, and we get your, here, circle, in, round. And I didn't show this. You can do your personal note, and it even tells you your mnemonic. So, well, save. So here's your next one, stroke order. You got your frequency, and it tells you your JLPT. And this kanji is the official simplified form of this. And there, you got dictionary. Oh, and the book references. So if we look down here, it's showing all your book references. So, like, and I'm going to do something on remembering the kanji. I do have that book. I do have an Anki deck for it as well. Still not sold on it, but we'll get into that later. So we will go here, and I'm still not 100% sure on this one. Like it's a hit and miss with this one, so we'll do this one. So there's 2, and we'll go. And then I'm going to do it one more time, and I'm going to show you what happens if I do the strokes out of order. So, you know, we've got our numbers here, so I'm going to go 2. Now, I'm going to do this one, and then this one. And here's what's going to happen when I do this. Stroke length and accurate, stroke shape or order. Now, one more time, and I'm going to point something out, and it's going to be up here. If you look, I'm going to show you where. So we go 1, 2, and then we'll do 4, and then 3. So you see up here in that top left corner, it puts it in red where my mistake was. So it's telling us where we're having our issue. So now we can move on to the next one. So here's another one where,
O,
so we've got it. So it was obviously king. Now I do struggle with this one. And down here in this little bottom left corner, you can see it does show up with a frequency that I need to keep practicing. So here's another one where I'm going to go. And I'm going to want to write this one 5 times. Now, your method, you may not want to write this one 5 times. You may be one who says 3 is your maximum. You may say, I want to write it 10 times. You know, you have to remember something when you're doing any kind of learning. It's what works for you. It's not what works for me. So this is something I've seen. I've been on Reddit. And I'm going to do a video about this in the future. But you just remember, it's what works for you. There's all kinds of people out there who make videos, who post on Reddit, who get in YouTube comments. They want to tell you the way they do it. Now, there are methods that are proven to work, but just because they're proven doesn't always mean they're the best way for you. So I want you to remember that. There are different types of learners. So proven methods don't always work for everybody, because you may not be the type of learner that method works for. So if somebody's telling you, hey, no, you got to do it this way, but you're thinking, why? This is working for me. Then you do what works for you. So keep doing what works for you. If you're seeing results, keep at it. Now, can you improve? Very possibly. Like, I'm one who knows you can keep going and finding something better. I'm always looking for something better. But I also am very aware of how I learn. So I try to fit things into my learning style. Alright, moving into the next one. We have our example.
音楽
So, that's another thing. I keep forgetting here. We look down here.
音楽
And if you're using this app,
音楽
it's good to listen to the example they're giving you. It's always good to listen and hear that native language. I find that helps a lot, even if it doesn't stick. Just as much of the language you can get exposed to. Alright, so this one, sound maybe? Yep, sound or noise. Now, I go with a match to any of the words. If there are 10 words there, if I get one of the key words that's good enough for me, we're moving on. Now, this is another one that I'm going to write 5 times. And as you see, this one's a little more complicated. And my handwriting is quite comical, but I think I actually write neater on Kanji than I do in English, much to the detriment of my students. But I guess that's my fault. I guess I have to take the blame for that. So I lost count, so we're just going to count that as 5, even if it wasn't. Oh boy. Below. So we'll check in a second, so let's listen.
廊下
So we're going to go and below, and we have down, descend, low, inferior. So as you see, I had that hesitation. My initial thought when I looked at it was below, but then I questioned myself. So as long as I'm questioning myself, it's going to be 5 times usually. And I'm going to tell you, if you are doing remembering the kanji, this app pairs great with it because you can be powering through remembering the kanji book or Anki deck, and then come over to this app and even do 10 a day this way. Just focus on 10, and all of a sudden you're going through Anki, and it's like, wow, these that I'm struggling with, you're hitting them, and you're just like, wow, I see this now. So this can really help. Alright, this is fire.
火曜日
And there we go. So I'm going to do this one 3 times just to be safe. And there's 2. And if you may have noticed when I write my lines, this is one of the big issues I have with cursive writing. I have a real problem with some of my tilts in the lines. So I'm sure you can probably imagine how great my hiragana looks. I'm gonna guess on this one that it's flower from that example.
花
Okay, so that was a guess, straight up. So 5 times on this one. And on my next one that we do, I'm going to tell you my other strategy I'm doing, even though I'm losing count because I'm talking. I do have one more strategy that I'm employing while I do this. And I do this when I'm taking notes, when I'm working in my books over there. And I find it helps, and this strategy was actually introduced to me by someone who worked with me my first year I was teaching, and they came up with the strategy. Now, I don't know if they got it from somebody else. I didn't come up with it. I actually didn't like it at first, and I tried it out in desperation when studying for a class once, and felt stupid doing it, and then I was like, wow, it's sticking. So I give them credit, not me, and it ended up working. So I say it in my head or out loud as I write it, because apparently, according to their research, now there's probably somebody else who's done it, because I'm just going to tell you, I haven't looked it up to check. It triggers part of the memory process in the brain to commit it when you're writing it and saying it or thinking it at the same time. So this one I'm going to say is student.
留学生
Nope, study. Alright, so that's a 5 time definitely. So I guessed because of the symbol here. So study. So if I'm wanting to say it aloud, I just say at some point while writing it, like study. I typically do it near the end though. So I'm looking at the whole, and then I'll be like, study. That way I've got my eyes on the whole symbol, and I'm still moving my hand, so I don't wait till the end. So it's study. So I find that helps. Now I do know that it does, like if you're saying it aloud, it does, for some people, like me especially, it makes me self-conscious. Not so much if I'm using
休み
a foreign word, but I don't know, just something. This one, I have no clue. Like, brain's just not working. So rest, day off, makes sense. So some of these, like, my brain is always blank on. So we got 3, 4, 5, and 6. And see, so some of these and I'm sure if you haven't started kanji, or maybe you do and you write them, there are some that your hand just wants to write them and do strokes in ways that are not the proper stroke order. But I do find that following the stroke order, even if you don't want to, helps tremendously in committing it to memory, because your brain's trying to remember, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh man, I hate this one. Is this Jewel?
玉ねぎ
Okay, so we're gonna do 5 on that one. And this is where I think a lot of people, not just me, struggle with kanji. And these are some of the easier ones too. If you've looked at kanji, you have the kanji that look similar. They're very complicated, and you are looking for the nuances in them. So these are the ones where the last one was king, and now you've got your little symbol here, which, what is that? Drop, I think, or dot. Yeah, one of those. Close enough for me to be happy. So you got that, and it's adding that here in the bottom. And so now your mind's like, okay, what's it doing? And that's an easy one. All right, so next we got 9. Well,
9
so this one, you can just check. This one's a one-time practice. And this is another one why I cannot figure out why the SRS still has me on the red. So this one, we've got our
空港
airport as the example here. But I honestly cannot think of what that one is. Empty, sky, void, vacant. And no, as you notice, I have not done any mnemonics, which I keep meaning to. And the problem is, I really can't think of some. Like, the books I've got over there have some, and they're just not very good. The books themselves are good, like the activities. I love the activities in them. But the mnemonics, most of them are very bad. Actually, let's just not call them a mnemonic. They're really generic pictures. And that's about it. Alright, so this one's C. Alright, and
見る
so now this one still gets me occasionally, so I'm going to write this one 3 times. So we got 1, there's 2. And of course, and boy, this one's gonna look real good. And there's the thing I like about this one, it's pretty forgiving with it, but I know if I was in a class, I would be getting torn apart by the teacher. Alright, so this one's 5.
5、
And there you go. And so let's practice this one once. And this one's mouth. And here's your
入り口、
and so this one we got
学校、
school as our example, but oh, and of course school's the actual symbol, so that's great. But here's the thing with I saw this comment yesterday or the day before, and I don't remember if it was on YouTube or Reddit. I know I was watching a couple videos. They were both by George Twombly. And then I was reading a couple things, looking for kanji reference books, recommendations, and I got sidetracked on something. Either way, I just got sidetracked in my own thoughts, so I guess that one's lost in the void somewhere. So maybe that thought will come back to me. I'm going to do this one again. There we go. Get that accuracy up. And this one's mountain. I think this one's really easy for me to remember. This picture sticks in my head real easy for some reason. I've seen people say it looks like a pitchfork, but this one really sticks for mountain.
山、
And just to make it official, and I'll just do it 2 times. And we're off to the next one. This is child. Yep.
男の子、
Otoko noko. So child, I'm going to do 3 because I have struggled. So this one, I'm going to draw or have the lines come back through. So if we look, and this is something I've noticed, some people have said that they don't see how kanji are pictures. If you look, here's the head, here's an arm, and there's the body. So, okay, got it. But yeah, I just thought I'd throw that out there if you're one of the people that have trouble seeing how some of them are pictures of symbols, because I was like that too. And then I saw a couple of them and was like, oh, I get it now. Like, not all of them, but like that one, the mountain one, obviously, river, that's another one. All right. Well, I was going to say thread, but it's right there. So,
糸、
and to make it official, I'm going to do this one 3 times. So thread. And there's the thread. And comes the 20th kanji on the list. And
漢字
there's your kanji. And I want to say this is character. Yep. And I'm going to do this one 3 times. Okay. So let's just start back there. And if you are brand new to these, you can see, like, you start picking up, like back there when we were looking at Jewel, and now with character, you've got multiple things here, multiple components being put together to form this. And I'm going to show my books off. I think my final book I'm going to be using for a while is coming tomorrow, so I'm going to show those. But I think it's the Tuttle book, because I'm a real big fan of some of the Tuttle books because of the way they do their practice pages, where you can just write over and over and over. Like the kanji book I got from them is like 450 kanji, and it's tons of practice for $6, and it has lessons in it, and then it's got a CD-ROM, which my computer and laptop, neither one have disk drives, but that's not a problem because they give you the link to download those files. Then it's got additional lessons to do. And I was like, for $6, you can't beat that, because I've seen textbooks that have less lesson materials, and that's kind of pathetic. So for $6, if Amazon still got it for that price, when I show that video with that book, I would suggest getting it, just because of the amount of practice you can get from it. Like, unreal for $6. Like, I don't know if it was on sale, but it's a good price. But I think that was the one that explained, looking at how they're put together. And I'd already started noticing that, but I think for somebody who hadn't, it's real eye-opening. Now, before this video is over, let me move this over here. Let's go back to kanji and go back to learning. And now let's move this again, move this over here. If you're not interested in learning by school year, let's switch it to here. So I've already went through and practiced. This is how we get this yellow and red, is practicing through, and I'll show that before the video is over, is through quizzes and reviews. So we can do all the school, or I can do this. So we've got levels 10 all the way up to 1. We can look at the audio books that are in the app. So if you get the premium, or you do the website, and you do the unlimited access on the website that includes the app, which is what I do, then you can get that access. Then there's just the counters here. That's your miscellaneous section. Then I've got my review down here, which is everything that's marked for review from the SRS system. Personal list, which I haven't set up because I just go through the elementary. And then here's the JLPT N5. So you see with the N5, just by going through the elementary, how much I've already covered with that. So I'm assuming probably once I go through the elementary 2, that's going to cover me for the N5, because I'm already hitting a little bit of N4 and looks like maybe one of the N3. So this is a great app. If you don't want the lifetime on the website, because it's a little more expensive, it does unlock a ton more vocabulary and things like that in the app. You'd be fine with just the app. I think I paid $12 for the lifetime subscription. So let's get out of that and go back into here and go to quiz. So now, in order for the SRS to work, you have to quiz. So you have to do that. Now I'm not going to do that today, but you see here, I got my first year. So I'm going to switch the list. And if I want the SRS to start working, I have, if you look down the bottom right, new kanji. It's showing everything to start getting that SRS to working. I have to learn the kanji. So I'm going to do the new kanji, and it's going to give me like 10 at a time, I think. So it's just going to throw them at me and give me a quiz on them. So then it moves them into the review section. And I keep doing this over and over, and then I can go back to learning and practice them over and over. Or I can go back in and go into learning and switch my list and just go in and manually set it up to start reviewing on its own by doing this and say, I don't know these items. So it's up to you. It's really powerful. Like, it really is. So the next time I do a video on this app, it's going to be on either kanji quiz or vocabulary. I'm not sure which. So just keep your eyes open. It's going to be one or the other. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, give me a like, give me a subscribe. Please leave me a comment. If you got something you want me to look at, like an app or anything like that, I'll be sure to try to check it out.